All right. I think everything is working now. Hello and welcome to today's lesson. It is good to see so many people here. Thank you for joining us today. I just want to make sure that everything's working. So today I have a great lesson for you. It's going to be a fun lesson, I promise. And I promise that you will learn something new, okay? Because we like to switch it up every now and then, do some vocabulary lessons, do some grammar lessons. And today it's a grammar lesson because a few months back, I had somebody ask me a question. Do you have an episode about tag questions? And I had to respond and say no, but that's a great idea. So today we're going to talk about tag questions or question tags. So the first thing you might be thinking is, well, tag questions, question tags, what's the difference? And the answer to that is absolutely nothing. They mean the same thing, whether you want to say tag questions, as I think many Americans do, or question tags, as I think more British people do, it's the same thing. So it doesn't matter. You can say whichever you like. I end up saying both. So again, it's your choice, but that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you are joining us, please say hello in the chat. I just want to hear from you guys. There's a lot of people in here. Hello, Snake Venom, New York, Hussein, Andre, welcome. I'm just going to give some names here. Wafi, Edgar, Amano, Mosi, Rodolfo, Long, welcome. Thank you guys for joining me. And let's just jump right into it. Again, as we go through this lesson, I am going to be asking you guys some questions. We're going to do a practice at the end, and I want to make this interactive because, again, this is interactive English, all right? My name's Wes. This is where you want to be for practicing and improving your English. So let's make it interactive. I want you guys to participate, answer the questions, practice using these, create some sentences, use the chat as though it's a piece of paper. And you can do the same even if you're watching this lesson later. Use the comments section as though it's a piece of paper, and we want you guys to actively participate in the lesson. So let's begin and answer just the simple, fundamental question. What are question tags? All right, so question tags, I think many of you are probably a little familiar with them. So I think they're pretty simple and straightforward, but we will go over some things that I promise you will learn some new things because there are some little tips and tricks to them. So a question tag or a tag question is just a statement followed by a short question. You're saying, instead of asking a question, you're saying the statement and then having a short little question at the end. And it's often used in spoken English. You're not really going to find question tags if you're reading an article in the New York Times. The only time when you might see a question tag being written is if you're reading a story and there's dialogue and the characters are talking. So it's really just used in spoken English, which is great because so many of you out there want to practice and improve your speaking skills. So that's important to know. You don't really need to write it if you're sending a text message or writing a paper or an essay. It's just for spoken English. And as I mentioned, the rules are pretty straightforward. So let's look at those basic rules. But before we do, actually, let's talk about why we use them. Why do we use tag questions? Notice I'm switching back and forth between question tags and tag questions. So we use them to ask for confirmation when we think we already know the answer. So it's like we know the answer, but we're just trying to get that other person to confirm and that we're correct. We can also use it if we're asking a favor or you're just asking for some new information. So let me give you an example. It's always good to have an example so everybody knows what we're talking about, all right? Here is my example, and notice my examples are always so suggestive to you guys. So I would say, you're going to hit that like button, aren't you? So again, I'm asking you a question. The first thing I want you to know when when you're using a question tag is that the answer is just going to be yes or no. It's a close-ended question. You can answer yes or no, or some variation of yes or no, like I did down below and said, absolutely. You're going to hit that like button, aren't you? Absolutely. So again, very suggestive. Why don't you guys, if you guys like our lessons, like what we do, go ahead, hit that like button, show us some love, and that way I know that you're listening and paying attention. So this is kind of the form of a question tag over here. You have the statement, and then you have that short little question at the end. You're going to hit that like button, aren't you? The one thing I wanted to say about this right now is because when we're talking about questions, most questions have a rising intonation at the end, which means the other person has to respond. It's a question. Sometimes there is a falling intonation. And in this case, this is what I wanted to talk to you about, more pronunciation and listening. In this case, it's like a rhetorical question. You don't really expect the person to give an answer. If you're saying it with a falling intonation, it becomes more of a rhetorical question. And the time when you would see this, when somebody uses a tag question with a falling intonation and it's rhetorical, it makes me think of like lawyers, or like a law TV show, or even a police show, where they're saying something to the person and accusing them of something, and they know the answer, and they might use a question tag, even though they don't want a response. They'd say like, you stole the money, didn't you? And, it's a falling intonation. It's a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer, but that's just the one little key thing. Again, if it's the rising intonation, yes or no. If it's a falling intonation, you're kind of like accusing somebody of something and you don't really need to respond. So this is my example. Now let's look at these basic rules. And I tried to color code them for you guys. Hopefully it's easier to see. Maybe it's not, but so you have two types of statements. You have a positive statement and negative statements. Positive statements are followed by a negative tag. So the positive is in blue, positive statement. He finished the report. A negative tag because we have that not in there. Didn't he? He finished the report. Didn't he? Now, negative statements are followed by a positive tag. So again, that negative in red right here, he didn't finish the report. Did he? Did he is the positive tag. Okay, so this is what you need to really remember. That's the fundamental part of question tags right there. Positive statements, negative tag. Negative statements, positive tag. All right, this is where I think learners sometimes make a simple mistake. And again, if you're having a conversation and you mix this up, it can actually sound pretty confusing. So remember, positive statements, negative tag, negative statements, positive tag. We're going to keep going through this. So let's go through where it gets a little more tricky and difficult, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks. So after let's, the tag begins with shall. Let's eat, shall we? So this is a fundamental rule that you can follow. And right now, I want you guys, give me some examples, all right? Let's study, shall we? Write some examples using let's. So if you're telling somebody, let's do something, and you want to use a question tag, we're going to use shall. All right, this is one of the few times when you actually use shall. It's not a very common word in English, but you'd say, let's do this, shall we? So write some examples in the chat. I'd like to see what you guys have to say. The other one is right here. Use aren't I in tags to mean I am not. So instead of reversing it and saying, I'm the favorite to win, aren't I? All right, I'm not going to say am not I. Aren't I instead of I am not. So again, this is another rule to follow. I'm the favorite to win, aren't I? You're kind of asking that question, wanting that confirmation. Great examples, Judy. Let's go to the mall, shall we? Let's hit the like button. Exactly, perfect. That is a great example. Let's usually say, Nisha, let's eat, shall we? Perfect, all right? Great examples. Let's go, shall we? Perfect. All right, you guys got it. So if you say let's, then you have that shall in the tag. Let's look at some more. So use won't for polite request. So somebody would say, you'll help, won't you? Now, again, this is a positive statement. You'll help, won't you? You could use it in the opposite sense, and then it would be will you. So for example, if you're saying like you don't want somebody to leave, and you're saying, you're not going to go. You're not going to go, will you? Will you? Or you're not going, will you? And wait a second, I'm kind of getting confused with my example here. I'm trying to use it the other way. What I'm trying to say is that often you're always going to use won't, because when you're making a request of somebody, it's pretty much a positive statement. You'll help, all right? So it's almost saying, if you're saying you don't want somebody to say, oh, you won't go, will you? It's not that common. You're not going to hear it used like a request used in the negative. So again, just think about won't. You'll help, won't you, as a request. Now, we're going to use will or would with imperative sentences. And remember, imperative sentences, those are commands. You're giving a command to somebody and you're telling them what to do. For example, when our videos get posted, even this video is going to get posted later, and you can write to us in the comments. We always tell you, I would say, write to us in the comments, would you? Or write to us in the comments, will you? I'm giving you a command. I'm telling you something that you should do. It's an imperative sentence. So when you're giving that command, use will or would. All right. Let's look at some more, shall we? All right. So we have this. Use didn't in a question tag when the verb is used to. All right. You used to watch our lessons. Didn't you? Again, we use used to talk about things that happened in the past, but they don't happen anymore. But when we're using it as our statement, in our positive statement, we're going to use didn't in the question tag. And if you guys can, give me some examples, all right? Use used to, all right? Often, again, you're talking to somebody else, saying you used to, he used to, she used to. You're not really going to use I, and then it'd be like you're asking yourself a question, which is a little weird. So give it a try. Try to use used to using you, he, she, it, we, they. And again, you're going to use didn't in that tag. Also down here, there are two endings possible when have is the main verb. One of them's more common in American English. That first example, if somebody says, oh, she has friends, doesn't she? That would be more common in, I think, American English. We're going to use doesn't she? But in British English, many people might say, she has friends, hasn't she? And they're just using hasn't she as the tag. So again, you can use either one. I think this is, again, a slight difference between British English and American English. But again, both are correct. You don't have to think, well, I only have to use this one. It's correct, all right? So keep that in mind. Have, you can use either one. Doesn't, hasn't, whichever you like. Let's look at some more tips and tricks, all right? So this is good because if we're using, you're going to use it in the question tag that includes this or that. So when you're using this or that in your statement, this is it, isn't it? We're going to use it. This is it, isn't it? So if we're going to use it when it has this or that, all right? Keep that in mind. And again, same down here. If we're talking about these or those, you're going to use they in the tag that includes these or those. For example, that image down there, those shoes, these are your shoes, aren't they? All right, I'm talking about the shoes. I know that I'm talking about these, that's plural, so I'm going to use they, all right? You guys are putting down some great examples. I love reading your examples. I'll go through a few. Perfect. Wafi, you used to play football, didn't you? Excellent. Rosalinda, you used to eat a lot, didn't you? I guess you could ask somebody that. What else do we have? She used to be fit, didn't she? She used to wear braces. You used to wear braces, didn't you? Excellent example. Thank you guys for writing those. Again, it's great when you're able to practice, and if you're able to read these, it just reinforces how to use this grammar correctly. So I want to let you guys know that, again, if you like what we do and want to show us some love, check us out on Patreon. It's a good way to support what we do here. Link is in the description. And while I'm on that, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to some of our patrons. Thank you, Vicky, Suleiman, Pedro, Daisuke. Thank you guys. You guys are truly helping make this happen and helping us come to you with weekly live lessons and weekly lessons and making it all possible. So if you guys are interested, check out that link, become a patron, and I will officially be your best friend. All right. So now that we've gone through and talked about how to form question tags, I gave you some of those tips and tricks. It's time to practice what we've learned and put your knowledge to the test, because again, this is where it's mostly interactive. We want you guys to be engaged with these lessons because that's the best way to learn and practice what you know in order to improve your fluency. So we are going to do a practice, and what we are going to do for this practice is I'm going to give you the statement, and all you have to do is write the tag. So if you are in the chat, I want you to write your answers in the chat. If you are watching this later, whether it is next week or next year, use the comment section and just write your answers there and then hit comment. We love it when we see that people are using the comment section later on to actually participate in these videos. That is what we love to see. So I'm going to give you the statement, and I just want you to write the tag. And remember to keep in mind, positive statements, we use a negative tag. Negative statements, we use that positive tag. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Are you sure? All right, I'll give you 1 second to prepare. 1. All right, here we go. So the first question is this. All right, he's always studying. So I want you guys, what is the tag that we're going to use to make this a question? He's always studying. This is, again, like maybe you're having a conversation. We use it in spoken English all the time. And you might be talking with somebody about this person that you know. Oh, he's always studying. How are you going to complete that sentence? Complete it correctly, all right? Excellent. Seeing some great answers. Perfect. PP, Judy, Nisha, Galina, Rodolfo, Nachuda, Juan. Perfect. Wafi, Paula. Yes. He's always studying, isn't he? Okay, remember, positive statement, negative tag. He's always studying, isn't he? I'm asking that question, yes or no. Next one, let's try this one. Okay. Give me a hand. How are you going to... This is a common question that you would ask somebody. Maybe you might say this to somebody at work. You might say this to somebody at school. You might say this to somebody around the home, to your husband, your wife, your parents, your children. And you're you're asking this. Give me a hand. What do you guys think? What do you think the answer is? Write it in the chat. Okay, I want you to write it in the chat. Let me know. All right, so again, the key here, give me a hand. All right, remember, it's an imperative sentence. You are giving somebody, a kind of a command, telling them, help me. All right, I want you to help me. So I would say, give me a hand. If it's an imperative sentence, you're going to use will or would. So oftentimes, even if you're watching TV or a movie, you might hear somebody, hey, give me a hand, will you? Or give me a hand, would you? This is commonly used in spoken English when you're giving somebody kind of you're telling them a command, you're telling them, help me, all right? Help me, will you? help me, would you? So give me a hand, will you? I think give me a hand is kind of a polite way to say, help me. So again, give me a hand, will you? Give me a hand, would you? Excellent. So next one. Here we go. What do you guys think? I told you what happened. How would you complete that question? All right. We're looking for a question tag. I'll give you guys a few seconds to give an answer, a little time to think about it, and then I will tell you the answer. I told you what happened. What do you think? I'm giving you the statement. I just want you to give me the tag, all right? And this is just think of it as a conversation. This is people are talking and somebody is like, wait a second, I told you what happened. Yes. Didn't I? I told you what happened, didn't I? Excellent. Karen, Ali, Dimansan, K17, Galina, Rebella, Carlos, Evangelina, Richa. I'm trying to just get as many names here as possible. Thank you guys for answering. Aiden, thank you guys for participating in the lesson. And sorry if I missed some names. Try to give as many shout outs as possible. So let's do another one, all right? This isn't the last question. How would you guys, again, this is a question. I'm posing this question to you, all right? This isn't the last question. So we talked about this. Think about that statement. We talked about it when I went through those tips and tricks, because those are kind of the slight nuances when it comes to tag questions. In general, positive statement, negative tag, negative statement, positive tag. But there's just some other things just to be aware of, which we went over. And yes, all right, this isn't the last question. Is it? All right, if we're using this, then remember you're going to use it. If it's these or those, then you would say though, then you would be using they. So this isn't the last question, is it? No, it is not the last question. Here is another one. All right, so there is, yes, Ioana and I from several years ago. They used to live in San Francisco. How would you complete that question? All right. That picture brings back some memories. San Francisco. They used to live in San Francisco. What is the tag that we're going to use to complete this question? And remember, this was part of that, those tips and tricks that we went through when I was talking about used to. If we're talking about used to, what do we use in the tag? All right. Perfect. Excellent. I love your answers. They used to live in San Francisco, didn't they? All right. And the answer is yes. Yes, we did. We used to live in San Francisco. So that was great. Thank you guys again for participating, engaging in these lessons. That's the best way to practice. That is the best way to learn, and it's the best way to improve your English skills. You're just getting the best of everything right here. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this lesson on tag questions. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please like and share this lesson with everybody that you know, especially anybody who wants to learn and practice and improve their English skills. This video will get posted, all right? And what I want you to do, write to us in the comments. Write to us in the comments, will you? All right? Using those tag questions right there. Write to us in the comments because we just love hearing from you guys. And you can also join us on social media right up here. All right, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. Thank you, Yulissa, Aiden, Andre, Carlos, Nisha, Love the Truth, Freddie, Arturo, Halwat, Rodolfo, Richa. Thank you. Sanaz, thank you guys for joining me. Love having you here. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you next time. So long.